supporting you in your dog parenting journey. The Dynamic Dog Owner with Debbie Potter. Hi and welcome to The Dynamic Dog Owner. I'm your host, Debbie Potter. Today I'm going to ask you a question. Have you ever had a day where you just needed a day off? A day relaxing in bed, staying in your PJs, chilling out in front of the telly. A day off of life. Just to rest, recuperate, recover if you've had a busy week. I know I have, and I've had quite a few of them. I know that I work, or I have loads planned in for a week, and then I go, I'm so tired, I just need a day off. And come Sunday, I just chill out. I don't do much of anything, and I just have a nice chilled out day. I believe in the part, whether these is still a thing, I remember when I was younger they became a thing. These days have kind of been coined as duvet days. A day where you just want to chill out under your duvet. It was a thing a few years ago, whether it still is now, that a few larger companies had added into their employees' contracts an allowance for duvet days, because they're days where you're not sick, you're not unwell, you don't need a day off because you are poorly, but you need a day off for just to recover. Now I suppose they would be classed as mental health days. And I know many schools allow mental health days for kids, which is amazing, which is really good. So as I said, I've had days like this in the past, and it tends to be whether I've had a really, really busy week, maybe I've not had a lot of time off, or I've had a lot going on personally, lots of commitments, and I feel emotionally drained. Physically I'm okay, but I just feel run down, tired, fed up, and I almost need a day to catch up with myself, to catch up with my body, let my body rest. And I know for myself personally, if I don't have rest days off, or duvet days, I start to feel a little bit unwell. I tend to start sleeping badly, start getting headaches. I definitely become a little bit more irritable and short-tempered. And I have a short attention span and I can't focus on things. Naturally, we feel like we have to keep going and keep going and keep going, like we're in a hamster wheel. We must not give up. Especially in today's society, we've kind of been brainwashed to thinking if you're not super busy, travelling at 110 miles an hour all the time, you're not productive. Actually taking a day off, for me, improves my productivity, improves my mental well-being, improves just me and my life and how I feel. So I know I've had days like this in the past, and I know many other people do have days like this. Some people need more than others, because again, everyone's different. If you are retired, you probably don't need too many because you have a relaxing afternoon and you do other things. Some people have a higher tolerance of intensity than others. Other people need more. I know my daughters have a lot of rest days. Both are autistic. One's currently in autistic burnout. And we as a family have more rest days than active days, them in particular. So these rest days, days off of life, help to mentally and physically recover, because when you are overwhelmed, tired, in autistic burnout, for example, daily tasks or the most simple tasks are overwhelming. They take so much energy, mentally, physically, and they take time to recover. So having an active day may take 2, 3, 4 or even 5 quiet, chilled out days, duvet days, to physically and mentally recover from that experience so that you can then go forward with the rest of your activities. Some people need a day off every week, some people need 3 or 4 a week, some people need one once a month, and some people just go on one holiday a year and that's it. And they work the whole time. Everyone is different. So the question is, if we know that people need recovery time, days off, relaxing days, duvet days, days to recover from everyday life, why can't our dogs need that too? They do and they can. Rest days are so important for your dogs. We see people days as duvet days. For dogs, we call them rest days. Same thing, different name. Dogs, we seem to look at them and go, well, why would you need a rest day? Why do you need a day off? You don't go to work, you don't have to pay bills, you don't have to stress about the economy, you don't have to worry about where your next meal's coming from, you don't have to cook it, you just have a lovely, relaxing life. Must be pretty stress-free. But not necessarily, because just like we know with people, all dogs are different. And many dogs, for many different reasons, can find life more challenging. And they can become easily overwhelmed by little things, small things that another dog may not. Even if your dog's pretty cool and isn't overwhelmed by stuff, they can still benefit from having a rest day. It's particularly useful for reactive dogs, rescue dogs who are new to a home environment, nervous dogs, anxious dogs, those who are easily startled by things, young puppies, adolescent dogs for sure. The list is endless. All dogs, whatever their circumstance, will benefit from a rest day. Dogs experience stress in many, many different ways. We see stress in our lives as paying bills, rushing around, having to meet deadlines, etc. Yes, dogs don't have that stress, but they have stress in different ways. So dogs can experience stress through hearing funny sounds. Many dogs will hear a sound, bark at it. That adds stress into them. Some don't like being alone. So if when you go out to work, yes, they don't complain and scream the house down, but they can be feeling lower levels of stress because they're on their own. And dogs are social beings and they like to be around other people. If you take dogs into social situations, whether you take them to the pub or you're walking with other people, walking with other dogs, social situations take a lot of energy. They have to be a bit more aware about what's going on. If they don't like new things, so especially with your rescue dogs, they may not like, all these new things may be coming into their environment that they're not used to. They could have never been in a house before. So all the small things that we hear in our house or experience in our house, whether that be the Hoover, the washing machine, people walking around, cars driving past, all of those things to us are relatively normal, and to many dogs will be relatively normal. To a new rescue dog, all of those little things will add stress into their life. For some dogs, people walking past the house, going out for walks and seeing people, seeing dogs, it can be stressful. Fireworks, new surroundings, all of these things, we tend to think of stress as being very negative, but stress can be happy, excited stress too. So if dogs are experiencing too much over arousal, too much excitement, too much high adrenaline, this equally can turn into a negative or stress build-up if there's too much of it. So yes, our dogs don't have the same stresses as us, but they do still have stress in their lives. It's just different. In a previous episode, we talked a little bit about the emotional cup and how dogs and humans have a certain sort of vessel inside them that can hold stress. Every dog's cup is different and different things fill it up. When it overflows, our dogs have a reaction or what we see as a overreaction to a normal situation. Just like us, where it's the saying, the straw that broke the camel's back. You've had 10 things happen in a day. The last one is something minuscule, but it's the one that tips you over the edge. That's the same for our dogs. So when they're experiencing lots of little tiny stresses every day, their emotional cup is filling and filling and filling and filling. When it overflows, we have that reaction. But what we often don't appreciate is that then dogs need time for their emotional cup to drain, for it to start to empty before we fill it back up again. There are some really good graphics that I will add into the podcast description. So if you want to find out a little bit more about this, do head into that section and click on the link and you will have a little download sent over to you. Having a rest day is a really good opportunity to give your dogs a chance for their emotional cup to fully drain, to empty, so that they can start their next day feeling a little bit more positive and stress-free. And that means we're going to avoid them getting to their threshold where they react a little bit more. This is particularly important for reactive dogs, nervous dogs, but it equally is just as important for other dogs too, all dogs, because when we see behaviour that we don't like, we tend to think of the here and now. We tend to say, well, there was nothing that upset my dog to make them suddenly start humping or to suddenly make my puppy start biting. But we forget that actually it's the 24 hours they've had before that have led up to events such as puppy biting or humping, that can be seen as a stress relief or a get rid of all this emotion. So having a day off is beneficial for not just reactive dogs, but also for our young puppies, for our adolescents who have a lot to cope with. It gives them a chance to just reset, click reset and start again. Having, whether that be an occasional rest day or multiple rest days in a week, it gives them a chance to just click reset, empty their emotional bucket, relax, feel ready to then go on with their next day, and it avoids their emotional cup spilling over, avoids the reactions that we want to avoid seeing. So whether that be our dog reacting at other dogs or whether that be simply our puppy biting. Now, as a teenager, Dave, my eldest dog, he struggled a hell of a lot with frustration. Frustrated greeting, pulling on the lead, being overexcited by the world. Not a lot has changed other than the fact that he's now mature and he can cope with all these things a little bit better. He's still a very excitable dog. He's still got boundless energy and excitement. He still gets frustrated, but because he's a mature dog, he can cope with it better. Now, when he was a puppy, we didn't have local dog walking fields where I could take him for a stress-free bimble around. I couldn't give him that opportunity. So every walk we went on was stressful. He would see people, he'd see dogs, and all of the time his excitement would be building and building and building and building. And then he would have more reactions because he was just so excitable. But yes, I couldn't give him those days off from the stresses by walking dog walking fields, which thankfully now I can. Now he gets to go to those every day, so he gets a lot more experience. So to counteract the excitement of life that came into him every time he went out and all those stresses that entered his being, we factored in rest days. And when he was a teenager, he probably had at least 2, if not 3 rest days per week to help him manage his emotion. He probably had 2 or 3 rest days per week to help him manage his emotions, to give him an opportunity to calm down and de-stress from the excitement and prevent his cup from overfilling as much. So they are useful for many, many dogs. The benefits, there are many benefits of a rest day. One is that your dog is going to get used to having a day off. We tend to think that to be a good dog owner, we have to walk our dog for miles and miles and miles every single day, at least twice. But then if something happens where you can't take them for a walk, effectively what we've done is built up their stamina. And then they're like, well, hey, we haven't been for a walk. Come on, we need to go for a walk. And they become very distressed because they've not had that routine and they've got an awful lot of energy to use up. So the benefits of having a rest day and them used to having a day where we don't go out is that if there's extreme weather, whether that be thunderstorms, torrential rain, heat wave, and you can't take your dog out safely, they're quite used to going, it's a rest day today, cool. I don't need a walk every day. If they're unwell, if they're recovering from an operation or they're a little bit poorly, what you tend to find is when they're poorly, they're quite happy to have a rest day. But when they're recovering from an operation, they need to stay still and quiet for a week or 2 while everything heals. But after day 1 and the drugs have worn off, they're like, come on, let's go. So having them used to rest days means that if you ever need them to stay chilled, they are going to be okay with it, because in their world, it's quite normal not to have a walk every day. So we've talked a lot about rest days already, but what actually is it? Let's focus on that, shall we? So as we said with people, a duvet day is chilling out, staying in your pajamas, being in your comfy clothes, mooching around your house, watching the telly, and just doing the things you enjoy doing without having to go out and add more stress into your life. A rest day for dogs is pretty much the same, really similar. It's a day off of outside stresses. So things that are outside of your house that can add stress into them. So going for walks, seeing people, seeing cars, traffic, all of those things we're likely to see or hear or experience when we're outside that add little small stresses into their emotional cup, their emotional bucket. So A day off of outside means we don't take them for a walk. Not one walk at all. Unless, of course, like one of mine, your dog won't pee in the garden. And then you can literally take them for a toilet walk only. So if they will go to the toilet in the garden, no walks at all. If your dog won't wee and go to the toilet in the garden, just taking them, to the closest little bit of grass and going straight home again. Not taking them for miles, not seeing loads of stuff. So quick toilet breaks only. This avoids extra input, so extra stresses, extra experiences coming into our dog. It almost puts like a stop on it, putting a lid on it, and it gives them chance to make sure nothing else goes into their emotional cup, but gives them full opportunity to fully de-stress. So we can focus at home on that rest day on de-stressing activities. So things like playing with their food. I know we're always told not to play with our food, but dogs love it. As people we're told not to, but dogs it's fine. So that could be taking a handful of treats or their normal kibble food and just throwing it into the garden, using their nose to go and find it. You could lay trails of treats around the house that they have to find. You can put little dead ends in. It could be having licky mats, having a nice Kong, playing with toys, undertaking some small training activities, sleeping. We underestimate the value of sleep. Dogs need a lot of it. Calming, relaxing, fun things to do at home. So not high energy, not playing fetch, not doing like loads of high energy toy play, but just calmness. Sniffing, licking, chewing, a little bit of mental stimulation, some tricks. Yes, these all provide mental stimulation, but equally, they also help to relieve stress and promote calmness. The calmer our dog feels, the quicker the emotional bucket gets to empty. So we're stopping any new things coming in and we're allowing all of the stress inside them to dissipate and go away so that we are then on a clean slate, ready for the next day. We tend to think, as I've sort of already touched on, that we have to give dogs so much. Walk, 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 run, 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 run. Let's go, let's go, let's go. They don't need it. We tend to think that we have to give them so much physical exercise so that they are physically tired and they will just doze off to sleep or keep going until they can't do any more. What we think we're doing is wearing them out. What we're actually doing is increasing stress and increasing their stamina. If you want to get better at a sport that is endurance based, you practice, you work harder, you push harder, you go further. If we walk and walk and walk and play and play and play until our dog's exhausted, all we're doing is increasing their stamina level. So by giving them less, we're actually giving them more. Less is more. It's a good saying. Even if we have a busy, active, high energy breed, they don't always need more walks, more training, more enrichment to keep them busy and active 24/7. They actually need more rest, more mental stimulation, and more relaxing to show them that relaxing is a possibility. Many people will say, never get a spaniel, they're nutters. However, Tash in our training team has 2 spaniels. They are the most chilled out spaniels I've ever met. They don't get walked miles and miles and miles, but they do get their brains activated and they have been taught to chill out. So at home, they are chilled, they are relaxed. If they don't have a walk for a day, they're fine. When they do go out, they have a great time, but they don't need it because they have been taught how to chill out and they have not had their stamina increased so much and their energy fed that they need it to live. They've been taught how to chill. So less is more. We don't have to give, exercise, go. We have to teach them how to chill. So these rest days are beneficial not just for managing emotions and arousal and stress in our dogs, but also for promoting that calmness that most of us strive to have and helping our dogs prepare for times when they can't go out, or maybe you have a day off and you don't want to take them out. So teaching them a rest day in advance is really important. I have rest days from when my dogs are puppies. So as soon as they're puppies, we factor in a couple of rest days a week. Even now, my dogs, until recently, had a rest day a week. Now it's probably every couple of weeks, but they're quite happy with having 2 or 3 rest days because they've been taught that that's a good thing. So rest days have a number of benefits. You may be surprised when I suggest when we're working with people and I say, give your dog a day off, don't take them out. People look at me like I've grown two heads and they go, but my dog won't, my dog has to have a walk. But when they actually implement it, most people are amazed at how much of a difference it makes on that day. And then the next day they'll go, well, they weren't as excited or they weren't as reactive because they've had that day to chill. So they are incredibly important. And if you're not convinced, just give it a go. One day, pick a day, give it a whirl, see what happens. You may be pleasantly surprised. But they're very important for our dog's mental health, but also our own mental health. Because if you have got a dog that is reactive or pulls on the lead or is really hard work, and you feel like you have got to take them out every single day, that time that is supposed to be a relaxing, chilled, best part of the day, taking my dog for a walk, actually becomes the worst. You then feel anxious, stressed, resentment towards your dog. I hate taking you out. It becomes the worst part of our day, and then it starts affecting our mental health. So not only is your dog feeling stressed, you're then feeling stressed too, and neither of you are going to be able to help each other. So having a rest day for your dog means you get to have a rest day if you pick the same day. You also are giving your own mental health, if you're finding walks difficult, time to recover before you tackle it again. So it helps your dog, but it will also help you to stay in the right headspace. Having rest days is one of the most important things, and I cannot stress that enough. So try having a rest day, having a full day, or if your dog's used to having loads and loads of high energy, just try doing one walk in a day rather than 2 or 3 and see what difference it makes. This isn't just that, we'll leave them to their own devices all day. We can give them activities to help get out their energy in a different way, rather than physical exercise that can add in stresses. So try a rest day, see how it goes. I would love your feedback as to whether your dog and you benefited from having a rest day. And yourself, if you want a duvet day, go ahead and take it, because they are so important for our mental health, for our dog's mental health, and to give our bodies and our brains a chance to recover from everyday life. If you want to tell us about your rest day or find out some more ideas about rest days, head over to our Facebook group, Potter Paws Dog Training Community. You can also follow us on all the normal social media channels, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at Potter Paws. And of course, we are here able to answer any questions and able to offer online training and support. Just drop us a message. Have a great week. Thank you for listening to The Dynamic Dog Owner with me, Debbie Potter. See you next time.